Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a Falcon. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, fucking like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right. Shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. We up in this thing, Sports Coma, representing late stream. Big ups to the great Saint. Thank. We up in this thing. And like I've been saying for some time now, welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. What's popping? Big ups to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being in the stream. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and by all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. Much love. We in this thing. So shout out to the fam. Appreciate each and every last one of y'all for being so patient. I was on the Pelican post-game report recap stream as the Pelicans, as you can see it on whothatdaily.com. Please lock us in. Pelicans soared to victory over the T-Wolves. We recapped that, had a lot of fun on that. So for those Pel faithful, you can check that stream out. It'll be available on the Pelican Post-Game Report platform. So we up in this thing. Or simply go to whothatdaily.com and check out the article written by Rel Wright, who did a real fantastic job. I think the video is attached to the actual article. So shout out to the fam and shout out to our writers, man. We in this thing. All right, so big ups to the fam. Brian starts off, says, what do the New Orleans Saints have to do to make the playoffs last week of the season, sir? Shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you. We got an article, Brian. I'm going to get right to it. I promise I won't forget your question. We're going to get into that. As an article, we have an article that we're going to talk about with the playoff scenarios. We'll lay that all out so there'll be no confusion, bro. So just give me a little minute and I'll get right to it. Pelicans Nola, shout out to you. Good to see you in the stream. Pelicans Nola was at the Pelican Post Game Report. So shout out to you for coming on over. St. Doug, shout out to you. Good to see you. How you doing, Pete? Happy New Year to you too, sir. Appreciate you as well. Appreciate you. My brother Slim was over there too. Shout out to you. Bronze Flat Power God, shout out to you. What's up, Barbara? Shout out to you. Good to see you in the stream as well. Mr. Robert, how you doing, sir? Big ups to you. Appreciate you being here. Dana, shout out to you. Queens, all my queens. Shout out to all my queens in the building. Marley Mall's in this thing. Shout out to Marley Mall. Ro, how you doing, sir? C Bama. All right, says Win Saints. All right, appreciate you, fam. And much love to all the fam, man. So we in this thing. Barbara says nothing, should done it. Yes, indeed. All right, so big ups to the fam, man. Yeah, we in this thing, man. So let's get right into it, man. We'll start the broadcast off by getting right into this one here. A lot of stuff happened with the Saints today on this Wednesday. Got really active. Saints begin to chip away at the 2024 salary cap restructure. They restructure Marshon Lattimore's contract. This broke today as the Saints. Mickey Loomis says, it's too early. Listen, hold on now. It's too damn early to talk about it now. It's in the middle of the season. Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I'll deal with it when they come. And then all of a sudden, here come the restructures. So either this is Mickey or either it's Kai. Either way, it got done. Annual work of chipping away the salary cap access to begin for the Saints, needing to trim away roughly almost $90 million of the 2024 books in order to be compliant with the salary cap. The Saints restructured cornerback Marshon Lattimore's deal, creating more than $11 million in cap relief for the upcoming season. Lattimore was set to count against $20 million against the salary cap next season by converting $14 million of his base salary into a signing bonus and deferring the cap cost into the future. That go Mickey Loomis, he was supposed to work it back to the center. Remember that? This is not working it back to the center. This is commonplace kick can down the road mentality. So here we go again, right? Converting $14 million of base salary into a signing bonus and deferring the cap costs into future years. Lattimore will now count 14.6 mil against next year's cap as opposed to the 20 mil that he was going to, right? By restructuring the contract, the Saints signaled that Lattimore is a part of the team's plans for the next season. Of course he is. A fact that was never in real jeopardy considering the dead money the deal would have had to eat if he was traded or released. When healthy, Lattimore has been a critical role in the Saints secondary, often traveling with the opposing top team's receiver. The four-time Pro Bowler has 15 career interceptions in 90 games. He's missed a significant time with the injury the last couple of years, however. Lattimore has missed 10 games in 22 with an abdominal injury, and he's currently on the injury reserve after suffering an ankle injury against the Minnesota Vikings. Just a freaky accident where somebody kind of rolled up on him, and then, he hobbled off, and then that was pretty much it. So Laddie Daddy's contract is restructured, and you can basically see in the coming weeks to months that you'll see guys like Ryan Ramczyk who could be facing some dire situations with his playing career. That knee has gotten so bad that injections don't work. He can't manage to play with it, and this could be dire to his playing career until the future. Got a massive contract, and the Saints will definitely be looking at him. Lattimore and Ramczyk's contracts were two of the biggest that they were obviously going to work on restructuring. Look out for for Ram's contract to be coming up soon, right? So anyway, let's move into the next article. Saints wins the injury report. So all this going on plus the injury report. That's setting up for the Week 18 showdown between the Saints and the Falcons. Regardless of what the records are, y'all know this is a game that the Saints have to win. They cannot allow the Atlanta Falcons to sweep them on the season, right? This can't be the case at all. So even 11 Saints players were listed on injury list the first of the week, and Juwan Johnson had a chest issue. He was shut down. DMP, Lonnie Johnson with the knee, Elvin with an ankle. Remember, he picked that up in last game. He was shut down. Nephi is going to be it's done for the year. Landon Young has a knee issue. He was DMP. Kalen Saunders has a concussion, so he was DMP. This is going to be interesting with Kalen Saunders. But if Kalen can't go, Brian Bresee will step in there next to Big Nate Shepard. So they'll keep that going, and the Saints will have to kind of amp up that interior reserve game. Kendre Miller limited in practice. Jimmy Graham, he had more rests going on with Jimmy Graham and limited. Eric McCoy had a foot issue. He was limited. Chris Olave with his ankle was limited. And Peyton Turner with a toe was listed as limited as well. Now, currently on injured reserve or injured and returned to practice. So that's what the asterisk about for Peyton Turner. So at some point, Peyton Turner could come back. But then again, the Pels really not the Pels. The Saints, I got Pels on the brain. But right now, the Saints are really not tripping on that. You know why? Because Zach Bond is showing out for the Saints. He did a wonderful job in this last matchup against Tampa Bay. He was making special teams tackles. He was out there. He got a sack in the game, and he has really come into his own in terms of being an edge rusher there. So Zach Bond finally realized, in terms of his talents as well as his contribution to the Saints. I keep saying Pelicans. The Pelicans handle some business tonight. Anyway, the Saints need to follow up what the Pelicans do, but the Saints have found something with Zach Bond, and Zach Bond has to keep doing what he's doing, and perhaps they might kind of come bring him back for maybe a cheaper or more cap-friendly deal for this upcoming season, because he's really showing out. You can never have too many pass rushers now that they realize what his role is. And just shout out to my dog GM Kev, who's been advocating for this Zach Bond situation. They finally found a role for him, and he's been doing really well on special teams. And when he comes in that sub package as a situational pass rusher on the edge, he's done a phenomenal job of creating pressure. Got a sack last week against Faker Mayfield, and he did a pretty good damn job. So, and the last several games, Zach Bond has contributed well. So Saints might have found something there. They finally found his role. Atlanta's injuries here. Calais Campbell was shut down. The old man will rest. Drew Dahlman, the offensive lineman, has an ankle. DeMarco Helms, whatever his name is a safety. He has a concussion. Mike Hughes, the cornerback, has a concussion as well. Patterson is resting. You look at Troy Anderson, who's a playmaker for him, has a pec issue. And Zach Harrison, the defensive end, is a knee. And Tyler Heineke is also listed as limited with an ankle issue. So 3 guys, Anderson, Harrison, and Heineke, are all listed with in terms of injuries, but they did practice. The rest of these other guys, not so much. So that's Atlanta's look at it. And our look at it right now is the first injury report of the week. Now, we know there are 2 more, and we'll be monitoring them very closely. Bit of good news here for the Saints. How about this one, fam? New Orleans Saints return specialist Rashid Shaheed was named to the 2024 Pro Bowl game. So shout out to the brother Rashid Shaheed. Round of applause for that brother, man. Go ahead. All right. Shout out to Rashid Shaheed, man. Named to the Pro Bowl, man. Selection as a star at the return specialist position marks the 16th consecutive season that the club has at least one Pro Bowl selection. So Rashid Shaheed is a return man, bro. It's amazing. We knew this kid when he came in here. He was special. He was doing it in college. The Saints found this kid, and they did a wonderful job bringing him in here. Originally signed by the Saints after the 22 NFL draft out of Weber State. He is ranked 2nd in the NFC and 3rd in the NFL in punt return average with 14 yards per return, and is the 4th Saint to be selected to the Pro Bowl as a returner, joining who? 1993's Tyrone Hughes from 93, Michael Lewis in 02, and Deontay Harris-Harty in 2019. He also brought back 23 punts for 321 yards. That's a 14-yard average, with a 76-yard touchdown, while returning 18 kickoffs for 384, which is over 21 yards. And on offense, caught 43 passes for 654, averaging over 15 yards per catch, with 4 touchdowns, has rushed 7 times for 37 yards, all-purpose yards, almost 1,400 all-purpose yards for him. He ranked 9th in the NFL. And on the 24th against the Packers, he brought back a 76-yard return there for a touchdown, which is the 3rd longest punt return in franchise history. In 2 seasons, Shaheed has returned 43 punts for 514 and a touchdown, with a 12-yard average right there on the punt return. That's 3rd in franchise record books, by the way. He also returned 32 kickoffs for over 700 yards. That's 22-yard average. Caught 71 passes for over 1,100 yards. 16 average right there, 16-yard average, with 6 touchdowns, and carried 11 times for 94 yards. That's over 8 yards per average with that, with a 44-yard touchdown. So shout out to this brother, and you know about his accolades at Weber State. He was fantastic, and the Saints brought this guy in, and they struck lightning again. And he worked with Michael Thomas, and he was fantastic. And he's been a major component in the Saints offense and helping them win. He's totally versatile, could do all kind of stuff for you, and he's yet to realize his true potential. So congratulations to the Saints for finding this kid, and congratulations to Rashid Shaheed, man, for making the Pro Bowl. So shout out to that brother. All right, so anyway, let's move to the next one here. As the Saints announce a few roster moves here, the Saints signed a guard to the practice squad. Who did they get? And all the Saints Vice President and General Manager Mickey Loomis announced that the club has signed guard Colby Gossett to the practice squad. Colby Gossett, and waived defensive back Cam Dantzler, and terminated the practice squad contract of wide receiver Jontre Kirkland. So they brought in an offensive lineman, a guard, and they waived Cam Dantzler, a cornerback that they had, and then terminated off the practice squad wide receiver Jontre Kirkland. And they've done that before. Perhaps we'll see what they do with what they're doing there. But Gossett, 6'5", 330, was selected by the Vikings in the 6th round, 213 overall back in 2018. The draft, he's out of Appalachian State. He's from Georgia. He played in 36 games with 9 starts for the Cardinals back in 2018. In Atlanta from 21 to 22. In 22, Gossett played all 17 games for the Falcons with 4 starts at left guard, and he spent the 23 preseason with the Browns. So there's a lot of college games of experience with Colby Gossett. In Appalachian State, he played in 47 games, opened in the last 46, and in 2017, he'd opened all 13 contests for the Mountaineers and earned his 2nd straight selection to the All-Sun Belt Conference first team. So Gossett has some experience right there in terms of, he's not exactly undrafted guy that's coming in without any experience. You can see he has some experience playing with Minnesota and also Arizona and Atlanta. So Kobe Gossett is the latest Saint player to be added to the offensive line. We'll see how all that fares as well. So new Saint on the team, Kobe Gossett. Welcome aboard. All right, and let's keep it bucking and moving, man. Let's go to the next article that served up the New Orleans Saints playoff scenarios. I know Brian asked about it. So let's go over. Saints need to beat or tie the Falcons on Sunday, plus get some help. Let's get into the article right here. And this is brought to us by NewOrleansSaints.com for the source. For New Orleans Saints, who are 8-8, they to have a chance of making the 2023 NFL playoffs. Listen closely. They will need to beat or tie the Atlanta Falcons, who are 7-9, at noon. This right for if family members don't know, they didn't announce the time, at some time ago. Well, they decided to do it, wait to give us a time, and quite not recently, but several days ago, they gave us the time, and this will be a noon game, and also it won't be on Fox, it will be on CBS. So just for some of the family members that might try to turn the game on, and usually it's on Fox, it's not going to be on Fox, it's going to be on CBS, just to let you know. All right, so anyway, this will be noon at the Caesar Superdome. The Saints can win the NFC South and earn the number 4 seed in the NFC playoffs with a win over the Falcons and a loss or a tie by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Carolina Panthers. If New Orleans ties Atlanta and the Buccaneers lose to the Panthers, the Saints will also win the division. A lot to ask for. So it's either a loss or a tie. So the Saints have to beat the Falcons. Tampa Bay has to either lose or tie with Carolina, which is a lot to ask for. And the Saints they will win in that scenario. So the Saints can earn a wild card spot. So if none of that happened and the Saints lose, right, or they win and Tampa loses or whatever, this is how it can play out as well. So the Saints also can earn a wild card spot if they lose or win and Tampa wins. Tampa will get in as the NFC South representative, but the Saints will be in I guess a situation to earn a wild card spot. How? Saints can earn a wild card spot with a win over the Falcons and losses or ties by Seattle and Green Bay. If New Orleans ties Atlanta, it will need Seattle and Green Bay to lose. Seattle plays the Cardinals and Green Bay plays the Bears. So those are the scenarios represented by the Saints. Here is a pretty basic, and better look at it, as you can see. So the Saints clinch the division with a Saints win plus a Tampa Bay loss or a tie. As you can see, they can clinch playoff berth with New Orleans win, Seattle loss or a tie, Green Bay loss or a tie, New Orleans tie or Seattle loss or Green Bay loss. So you see it's complicated because, not really complicated, but it's really annoying. And this is what has to happen when you don't take care of your business. Me personally, I'm whatever happens. But the way the Saints played all season long, man, it's really been repugnant how they've been playing so inconsistently up and down, all of the excuses, as opposed to just go and fix the team, do something different. They got the win against Tampa. It's not a far-gone conclusion that they can beat Atlanta. They better beat Atlanta, because if they don't, that means Atlanta sweeps the Saints, knocks them out of playoffs. But the Dennis Allen factor, Dennis Allen was never in trouble during the season. They let it leak out that Dennis Allen should be good, and that was prior to 2 games before the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. Yeah, at least a smart general manager would have taken the opportunity to wait and see how things would look over the next 2 weeks before making the decision on the head coach. And they let it leak that he's safe. And like I've said, well, why they so much in love? Because it's the money, and it ain't nothing to do with no damn cap, because that don't apply. But this is how cheaply these people behave, man. I'm just telling you the truth about how they handle money. That's how they operate. That's how they operate. So anyway, that's some information. I hope y'all guys got cleared up with that about the Saints getting into the playoffs if they do. And we'll see how it goes. So anyway, let's keep it moving, family. Before I jump, I'm gonna play this interview by Carr today that he dropped. We're gonna go into that. But let me go into the chat and see if any of the family members got any questions or whatnot. Brian says, I wish Cat Williams could do an expel Gale and Loomis and Dennis. All right. Yeah, I did. I seen that, Ro. Yeah, I played it on the Pelican post game report. The video of the guy jumping on the judge for not giving them pro. But yeah, he jumped over, leaped on the bench and grabbed her. Grabbed her and pulled her down. So, they're gonna be making all kind of measures for that, man. That's something funny. When you're looking down and you're casting stuff out, and when the people come jump on you, that's a whole nother world altogether. That looks strange, don't it? Barbara said, I don't want us in the playoffs. I live up here with all these. All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, what's up, T Dirt? How you doing, my brother? Shout out to you. And I agree. I think we stink. We stink as in terms of how we played during the season, a lot of letdown. But the energy would have been different if the Saints would have kept it real. Let's say if the Saints would have came out and they're like, man, we need to do this, that, and the third and do that. But they did, to me, I don't like the aura of the team, so to speak. Not the total aura of the team, because they got some players on that aspect of really good players, but like a veteran-led team, like we're thinking at some point the veterans will steer the ship. But even some of the more impressive veterans, the guys that really are tough veterans, or guys that are really just like, they're on it, they have difficulty when you see stuff happen on the team, when you have the coach, because the players can't override the coach, and some of our players don't. Now, you see Michael Thomas get buck, you've seen all this happening, and it has some improvement or some impact. But you see how things are, and it's really messed up. Like, those guys can't really go to the general manager. That speaks against Mickey Loomis, by the way. He's not an approachable general manager, because he won't listen to the players. Most of these players, they get upset and they go to social media, and then the media people say, well, we can't have them doing that. Well, they're acting out because there's a problem in the building with the coach not addressing the frustration of his players. So that's got to go somewhere. And usually if it's not the head coach, it's more than likely going to be the general manager. But this guy's not a general manager. That's what I keep saying. He doesn't handle it right. Like the Jameis Winston situation, when that should have never touched the press. That should have been something that Mickey Loomis, when they got from Dennis Allen, Mickey Loomis should have had his door open and been able to address that situation and make that go away. He should have made that go away. Where was he at with the Jameis situation? Where was he at with Michael Thomas? You thinking these guys just going to social media straight out the way? People like to paint these pictures. And I heard some media dudes saying that. Well, Michael Thomas gets on there and he starts cutting up about getting on social media and just start going crazy. Nobody watching him. And I'm like, man, well, this dude ain't no damn kid. Who the F are you to say that? I mean, come on. People, they don't get it, man. I mean, it's more, shit is more than just black and white. These are people with emotions and feelings, and they get frustrated. It's a team. And the coach and the general manager, these people have to appease the emotions of their players. If their players are frustrated, they have to appease them. They have to figure out what's going on and if they can fix the situation. And they're not doing that. So that's why you see certain guys get out of line. And most of these guys are not troublemakers. They're not troublemakers. They don't have reputation of troublemakers. And when I hear stupid ass stuff like that, it upsets me. I'm like, man, you don't know what the hell going on, man. You believe what you want to, but players are not players. These players, a lot of these players play for real head coaches, and they know what it looks like. They know if you come from Ohio State, you played for a hell of a coach. You played for a real coach. And any one of the coaches that these Ohio State guys are playing for, running circles around Dennis Allen. Come on. They know how the coaches prepare. They know if they're organized or not. They know if they're accountable or not. They know if they're disciplined or not. And that's the culture shock that you get. And then he plays under and been exposed to Sean Payton, who's a disciplinarian, who has an organized regiment. And then you get to this guy, like, this guy, who is this guy? So he's like, man, listen, if this guy doesn't do, it's got to be an accountability thing. And that's what I was saying about Mickey Loomis. You see who these people are when Sean Payton's not there. Like, I was on the show a couple of days ago, whenever it was, saying, man, these guys are sidekicks. All of them. They're all, they're Robins and Superboys. and Wonderlad or whatever the hell all the sidekicks that you could possibly think about. That's who you got in there. That's running the team. These guys are not star head coaches. You know, they're not. They're sidekicks. They were brung in to keep another man's shit going. I'm just telling you the truth. Oh, you keep this here. They're sidekicks. So they don't know how, and they're not interested in learning anything. They don't reach to a point where those dudes are already stuck in one way. They're not adaptable people. You know, you can hear it how stupid they sound and the asinine stuff that they say in these interviews when they open up their mouth, and all kind of foolishness fall out of it. So I mean, at the end of the day, the frustration that you're seeing happening with the players around the team, if the guy is frustrated with the head coach, who do he go to? Where does he go? He don't go to the guys underneath the coach. Perhaps he has a guy that he's cool with, but if he can't see eye to eye with the coach, he goes up the ladder. And the only other guy that he can talk to with any football acumen above the ladder is Mickey Loomis. And Mickey Loomis is not interested in fixing any situations. He didn't handle the Jameis situation, the Michael Thomas stuff. All these guys frustrated. And what you doing? What you doing while all that's happening? What are you doing? That's the question. But anyway, like I said, accountability has been a big thing with this team for a very long time, man. Especially when Sean Payton left, you can see the difference there. What's up, J Rock? Shout out to you, fam. Appreciate you. Millie Two said, I pull up at Wendy's. Dude asked me, do I think the Saints gonna make it? I said, hell no. This not the season or okay, I see what you're saying. He said winning. Well, I mean, man, I agree, bro. I think the Saints. I want the Saints. I don't want to lose to the Falcons again. You dig? I don't. And a lot of people want the Saints to lose because they're thinking by the Saints losing games that they'll fire Dennis Allen. That's not going to happen. They're not going to, especially like how he played it, and we pretty much knew it because they let it leak about them keeping him, regardless of what happened. He can lose, and he could have lost the next 2 games and would have been safe. They're not going to break the contract. That's why they keeping this. I keep saying the same shit over and over again. I'm very consistent in what I'm saying about his contract. They're keeping it from telling you what the contract is. It's not disclosed. That sports skeeter crap is, I don't know what that is. That's unverified. The truth is the contract is undisclosed. Why? Can't seem to get an answer on that. Can't seem to get anybody that get close enough to ask him a question about what's the contract, how many years of it is. Can't get them to ask that. I mean, and there's a bunch of people, but I can't get them to ask it. Like it's something that they've been told not to ask about it or something. I don't know. It's very weird that we don't know exactly what it is. But anyway, yeah, the playoffs is a real thing for the Saints because any one of these teams could lose. The teams that you see playing, Atlanta, the Saints could very well beat Atlanta. They could very well beat Carolina, as improbable it is, could very well beat a Tampa Bay Buccaneers squad. They very well could beat them. They could. You know, they could they could throw everything out and play like a wild team at the last game of the season. And that's when usually upsets happen. When you think you're going to beat this team, and this team come out with everything, all kind of plays they never tried before, and they want to end the year on a good note. So even though they are a 2-win team, that don't mean they can't show up for one last game before the offseason and surprise the hell out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Any of this stuff can go anyway. You know what I'm saying? It could all end up funny style. It really could, because most of these teams are very inconsistent. They really are. So anything can happen at this point. You know, but Dennis Allen into the playoffs, we'll see, man. We got a handful of days left before that happens anyway. Rewind the time, said be crazy to get rid of Laddie, but Adebo needs to get paid. Nah, Lattimore's going to be here. They restructured this deal. He's going to be fine, but Adebo is playing at a high level, no doubt about it. And credit to Paulson Adebo, man, for real. All right, Derek says, win or loss, we still will be in the same position as style. Yeah, Dennis Allen's return doesn't inspire any confidence in the Who Dat Nation, just to be honest with you, man. But let's get through this. We got 2 interviews we're going to get through, then we're going to close the stream down. We got Derek Carr. We're going to play some of his stuff, and then we're going to go into a interview with Mickey Loomis that he did today, and we'll react to that. So here we go. Y'all put one in the chat if y'all can hear. And please feel free to hit the like button too. Here we go. Here we go.
Lately, it's been a little tied to like playing without physical pain.
Oh man,
Maybe not without pain. Okay, like I know you guys were all dealing with stuff. But
no, I'm with you. It's just no matter how I answer that, it would seem like an excuse for earlier or something. It's just tough, man. I will say I'm feeling better. Um, you know, usually at this, we were just laughing, a couple of us, at this end of the year, you're usually, your body's going like this, and I felt like the last couple of weeks my body's going like this. And,
Let me stop there right quick. Let me pinpoint this, family, and I'll get back into it. Let me just say this. Notice the interview opens up with the media asking about Derek Carr and being in pain, right? Being in pain and such and such. That's not a coincidence. Notice the question, where the question is in terms of where it is in reference to it being the last game of the season. This is when they start cooking up narratives. Like I told you, you'll start seeing the people who's on the payroll for these people when they start creating fluff stories to kind of make people feel a little bit better about the Saints going into the offseason, to try to say, okay, the upsetness goes away. Now, listen, some of my upsetness doesn't totally go away, but if they get into the playoffs, that's a big thing that I wanted to see. I wanted to see them break the 2-year streak and get into the playoffs. Anything can happen in the playoffs. Of course, we don't have very much faith in Dennis Allen because he never done anything, but that'll be a step in the right direction for them to get in the playoffs. So if anything, he had a soft schedule this year, a sorry schedule this year, and the team performed about as sorry as it possibly could do at the end. It came down to the last bit of the year, just like an up and down team would be. And, getting into the playoffs would definitely break that streak. But in terms of everything else, man, we'll see how it all works. But in the end, that window is slowly going away, for real. That window, this team is one of the oldest teams in the NFL. And that window, you only had a 2 to 3 year window for Dennis Allen to step in and make this team relevant. Well, he's wasted the first year and the second year. They're on the cusp. So those teams are so bad, but you can't count on this next year. These teams will improve. They will hire coaches that are better than, in my opinion, the guy we got here. At the end, 3 guys, they could be 3 new coaches in the NFC next year that's coming in here. They will definitely have better drafting position than the Saints, and they'll definitely have a better idea of what they need to do with their squads once they line up everything, you'll not have the same darling record that you had last year, or this year rather, going into next year. It's going to be different. So it's the task gets more difficult. But in terms of the reporter asking about Derek Carr's health situation, just keep that in mind where we are at this time of the year when they start breaking out the excuses about injuries. They do this shit every year, man. I'm just pinpointing it just to let you know this is just basic kindergarten style propaganda. Nobody's asking about Derek Carr's injury. That ain't even something that we would even be talking about, being hurt, even when Dennis Allen said that whatever, no injuries that Carr has is impacting in this game. He said that several weeks ago when they was hiding the rib situation, but none of the media reported on the fact that they were hiding the rib situation, even though we were saying it the whole damn time. You see what I'm saying? I mean, put one in the chat if y'all with me, man. Y'all listen to the show. Y'all heard me sit up here for I don't know how many hours on end talking about Derek Carr having busted or bruised ribs. And then he finally said that he got 3 broken ribs last year. And Allen said, not last year, but I guess last year because it's a new year, right? But in terms of Carr and what he's saying, and Dennis Allen said none of that has to do with his affect his style of play. So why are they talking about it now? Let's finish up. Here we go.
Makes you realize, or wonder how bad was it really, And so I am feeling better. But everyone's also doing the right thing more often, and there's a lot that goes into that. So ever since that Green Bay game, it's been a struggle. I've been honest about that. It's been a struggle for me physically, but the last, I don't know the weeks, but I have felt better, and hopefully that continues because we're going to need it, especially against this one.
It's been a struggle for him since the Green Bay game. All this, why tell us this now? Why tell us that it's been a struggle since the Green Bay game, that you've been dealing with injuries when you held and hit all of that, covered all of that up and lied about it, lied by omission for months. That Green Bay game was several months ago. Now all of a sudden that media dude who down with it opens up the conversation, the interview, talking about his injury situation, and then he gives you all this information that he's been struggling with it since the Green Bay game. Why tell all of that to us in week 18 before you take on the Atlanta Falcons? Why would you put all this out here? You get what I'm saying? It's setting the stage for something. And we know what it is. They're getting the excuses riled up. So if something goes awry, they can come back with, well, Derek Carr was hurt. He was hurt the whole year now, even though Dennis Allen said, I'm going to play the shit too. I'm going to go back and find it and play it. That nothing that he was going through was impacting his play. They're such a bunch of liars, man. So many liars, man.
As well as it has this season in terms of play calling, execution, understanding, everybody understanding what they're supposed to be doing?
I would say the last half of the year has been a lot better. It's been a lot better, and I think we continue to improve. And that's always time on task. Players getting to know each other. We've talked a big deal about this year about communication with me and a few guys, and I just feel like all that's growing and getting better, and that's a great sign. It really is. That's a great sign for things to come, but we're not done yet. We still got one more promise to us. We're trying to earn more. So, I definitely think the last half of the year has been better. We've improved, and we started to do things where I think that what it's supposed to look like, here for the future.
Is it a totally control mindset this week? I mean, obviously, nothing matters once you guys win.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Is it doesn't matter unless we win the game, and so, you would love to be able to sit there and think of all the scenarios and all that kind of stuff, but you'd just be wasting your time, not getting ready for what actually matters. And so, for us, you are what you earned in this league. That's what we've earned. And, for us, the mindset is the same it's been the last few weeks, man. It's playoff mentality. It's win or go home for us. And so we're playing a team this week that beat us, and so if that doesn't get your attention on Monday morning, or Sunday night after the game, I don't know what will. We got a great challenge in front of us to, try and beat somebody that we didn't beat earlier this year.
Hey, Derek, when you go back and it comes down to the last game of the season, do you kind of think back to some games that you kind of wish like, man, we let that one get away, or just kind of
I mean, I'm sure we will. You always do at the end of the year. After everything, man, that one or that one. But I'm just so proud of the growth that we've made to fight back to have this opportunity. And that's really how we've been looking at it, man. We just we put ourselves in that position, but we fought back and earned the right to be playing for something. At the end of the year, and so it didn't start how we wanted to start, but it's starting to look like how we want it to look like. And so hopefully we can take care of business this week, and we can't control anything outside of that. And like I said, that's what we've earned. But it is getting better. It has improved a lot, especially in some situational things. But that's it.
Does it matter to you if the Tampa Panthers game doesn't get shown on the scoreboard while you guys are playing?
Oh, I don't even want to know.
Yeah,
I don't even want to know. I don't know if they'll show it. I don't know how that stuff goes.
You don't have control over that.
I don't have control. I may be able to pull a few strings playing quarterback, but no, I don't want to know any of that. I just want, again, our guys to be focused on the task at hand, because if we're worried about those things, Atlanta's way too good of a team to, not be thinking 100% on. You can't do that. They would come in here and beat us by 40 if we start thinking about that kind of stuff. And so, our mindset has to be completely and solely on Atlanta and winning our game, and then, hopefully hear some cheers in the stands afterwards.
With the red zone stuff, and the DA had mentioned, one of the things they noticed that Power was okay, getting from the 25 to the 10 was a big factor in being more efficient. Is that something like a coaching point that you've had to kind of look at and say, okay, I can adjust some of the things that I'm doing to, because it seems like, I think 11 of the last 13, they've all come inside the 10-yard line, and obviously that's worked out.
Yeah, it has worked out. And I think, honestly, I really believe, man, the biggest thing that we've gotten better at is we're not hurting ourselves with penalties. When we would get in that fringe area, and then you get whatever the penalty is, we get a intentional grounding, a holding, an offensive whatever. That's really hard to make up those yards as you get tighter, And so I think that's been an improvement for us. And yeah, I mean, the closer you get, the easier it is. It's going to be percentage-wise to score in our league. And so, you try your best in decision-making and all those things that are way out here. You don't always have to throw it in. You like to throw them in from there, but you can also take a route that gets you inside the 10 and keep playing the game. So there's a lot of that definitely from depending on the play and the situation that comes on my plate for sure.
What do you think of Jamal's game having to kind of step up and deal with that?
Well, DA always picks somebody to break the team down, every day after practice. And one of the breakdowns last week was Jamal, because one we all love him. He shows us every day how much this means to him. And one of the things he said, now I may use different words than he used. One of the things that he says is, I'll run through somebody's face for y'all. Like, that's not for me. And that was so powerful of a statement, so selfless. And when he got in the game, that's exactly what he did. And so you say something like that when you break the team down, then you go prove it to your teammates. And he's not pointing at himself. He's not, man, he's hugging his brothers. He's excited, like, because everyone's jumping, like he got the team going. So it was really cool to see that come to fruition for sure.
Derek, I know you talked about the team ascending at the right time, and this is the time. Do you feel like the steps are there right now? Like this team seems a lot over it. Maybe it could turn into something special here at the end of the year.
I do. We've earned that position to where we are getting better at the end of the year. But the fact is we have done some really, really good things at a really, really high level for the last few weeks. And last half of the year, really, we've just constantly been doing this. And this is the perfect time to get really hot and go. But not all of that's in our control. We have to focus on the Falcons, focus on the mistakes that we made in that game, and focus on how can we be better this time, improve this time against them, and do things better this time. And so I'm sure they'll have a wrinkle or two. It's they're playing for a lot too, and so we got to be ready for that. We got to be on everything, make sure that we're on it in that aspect. But this would be a great time, to put it all together for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. When we talk about Derek Carr, in the Saints offense, the matchup against Tampa Bay, they set the tone. The first drive, they marched down the field, they put it in the end zone. That electrified the defense. And then the second quarter, the Saints went down there and they did it again. They got another touchdown. And I was like, okay, this is pretty good. But we got to put a full 60 minutes of football together. In the second half, the Saints offense didn't score any more touchdowns. One more touchdown would have just definitely pushed them out of here. And we had a bunch of turnovers. But like I said, when you look at the game, Saints got to win. But you got to also look at ways to improve. Like Carr just mentioned, he talked about things they have to look out on tape. The second half, the Saints offense could not score another touchdown. That was a combination of things that happened. And we know that Tampa Bay made a few adjustments here, and the Saints offense got very conservative in the second half, and they started playing for field goals. It was obvious. And I don't like that style of play. That's almost a scare. You're lacking confidence to kind of put your foot down and just push past and just smash on this team and just drive them into the mud and keep it going. That was something I was looking to see the Saints have in the first half. Did they have the killer instinct to step on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, demoralize them even further, and push out of there with a dominating win? They got the W, but in the second half, the offense really, really struggled. They couldn't, they played, and I didn't like that. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I like the win, but I didn't like how they played in the second half. They didn't put a complete game together in terms of the offense doing what it was supposed to do. It put up 2 touchdowns in the first half and then a bunch of field goals in the second half for them to get out with the victory. So what I'm looking for in the game, and we'll preview the Atlanta game later on in the week, but it's going to be interesting to see because he mentioned things they couldn't do. Well, in this game, the second game against the Atlanta Falcons, Derek Carr can't throw a pick six because that was really one of the big sticking points why the Saints lost the game. The pick six was a obvious factor in the Saints losing the game. They lost by that pick six. Had that pick six not been thrown, the Saints would have beat the Falcons. So he played much better in this Tampa Bay game. But just like I said before, it's about putting games together every week and not having amnesia, because that's something that I recognize with the Saints offense from week to week. They have a lot of difficulty building on wins. Like when they find something that really works, sticking with it and, adding to it, like the things that really work, adding to it, and game plans that really work, sticking to it, adding to it, and just keep evolving it to the point where they get really good at it from week to week. And when the Saints win 2 games and then they'll lose, it's like they get this thing where they just forget what to do. And it's just the weirdest thing ever. And you get up to a point in the season, you think, okay, it got to kick sooner or later. And it just didn't really turn on in the way you thought it should have turned on, like you used to usually see it turn on. It didn't happen like that. The Saints finally got back to 500. They're 8-8 now. They're facing down an Atlanta team they should have beat several weeks ago. And they can't turn the ball over, just like they did in the Tampa Bay game. No turnovers, none of the other stuff, no pick sixes. The defense has to continue to get turnovers, and the offense has to score touchdowns. That's what it comes down to. If the Saints put up 21 points against the Atlanta Falcons, with the way the defense plays with a lead, they should beat the Falcons. They should. If the Saints offense can put up 21 points, just focus on getting 21 points. And then you can let the field goal kick to his leg fall off if you want. But at least the offense can score. Just focus on getting 21 points in the contest. Just like that. And it's just, like I said, it's very frustrating. It's up and down like a dog, man, to be honest with you. But Carr, he can't turn the ball over. He has to play like he played in the first half of the matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Saints, if they can do that and maintain that for a full 60, the Saints will beat the Falcons. And they have to beat the Falcons, to be honest with you, because if they don't, the Falcons will sweep them on a year. And the Falcons right now stink. They have to beat this team. And they probably will beat this team, and we'll see where the chips may fall. But at the end of the day, when people ask me about the Saints, should they make the playoffs, the way they played, no, they shouldn't make the playoffs. They let other people decide their fate. And when you usually do that, you're not serious, man, about making the playoffs. And the Saints will sell this like it's improvement, because you went from 7-10, even though you were 9-7 a year prior to that, then you became 7-10, and now you're back up to 8-8, and you might be 9-8. That's improvement. I can sell that to them for you and get ready back to the business of selling and trying to get y'all to go back to the dome. And it'll work on some people. It will. They making it to the playoffs, it could change a bit. It could change a bit. But anyway, let's move on to the next thing, fam. Let's get ready to jump on this one right here. We're going to get into this video. Actually, this is from Mickey Loomis. His interview that they did with Mickey Loomis today. And he talked about several things. We're going to cover it. I don't know if you guys heard it or not, but if you didn't, we're going to play some of it here. So put one in the chat if you can hear.
Manager Mickey Loomis. How you doing, Mickey? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you guys. Man, I went to the Sugar Bowl last night. That was a fantastic game. One of the best college football games I think I've seen in a long time. And I didn't have any real skin in the game in terms of who wins, although I am a Pac-12 guy from way back. So, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it's amazing when you're around great games like that, obviously, when there's really nothing invested, you can really just enjoy the game instead of having your nerves jumping all over the place.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was fantastic. A lot of great performances and great comeback by Texas to have a chance to win at the end. It was really spectacular.
Looking at the Saints team, obviously a big win Sunday, Tampa Bay. Happy New Year's Eve, an early start over there, staying alive for that playoff hunt. And just, you could see and feel the tone from this team right off the bat, able to come out, a long drive down the field, and getting 6 points on the board right away was so key in that Bucs matchup.
Yeah, I thought our opening drive was a real key, send a message. I felt like, Tampa was kind of ready to, get out there and get on with the game and celebrate, winning the division, and for us to come out and, smash them in the mouth, take that opening drive down and score and set the tone for a really dominant first half. I mean, we had over 200 yards of offense in the first half. I think they had less than 50. It was a dominant performance, and really the game was won, in the first half. I think, their first 7 possessions, they had 5 punts and 2 turnovers. So kudos to, all phases of our club, offense, defense, and special teams. I thought each one had a hand in the victory, and they got a couple scores late to put the interest in the game, but I never really felt like it was out of our grasp.
Mickey, there's always a lot put on coaching. There's a lot of debate, a lot of criticism, some of it fair, some not so fair. But to me, I've always felt like these kind of rematch divisional games are a really kind of big litmus test for not only the team, but for the coaching. Because it's one thing to have the team prepared week in, week out, whatever the challenge is. But it's another thing when you know what they want to do and they know what you want to do. You can throw in some wrinkles, but at the end of the day, the offense is the offense, the defense is the defense. And so that's why personally I take a little bit more encouragement out of a game like that, where not only you went into their house, you dominated, you got a win that you needed to have. And I'm curious as to when you kind of evaluate the season and you evaluate the results, do those games mean a little more? Because obviously the straightest line of the playoffs is through the division, and whether obviously it's 3-2 right now, a 4-2 division record, whenever it happens, is a positive result.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of truth to that. I don't know that I put that much stock into it, because look, you know your division opponents better than you know anyone else, because you're playing them twice a year. And if they haven't had significant personnel changes, particularly with the coaching staff, then what schematically they like to do coming into the season. So I don't look at the rematch as anything really different, other than in a case where they've got different personnel at a quarterback position or some key positions, which in Tampa's case they do with Baker Mayfield, who's had a good season for them. But I think too often we put too much stock in. Well, I don't know that we put too much stock in it, but I think that most of the people that I hear in the media that are evaluating coaches aren't really qualified to do that, because they don't know what's being coached. They don't know what's being told during the week. And there's a difference between what they're being told and what's being executed sometimes. So there's some truth to what, to your comment, but I don't think there's as much, I don't put as much stock into it as you might.
And see that right there, what Mickey Loomis just said was cocky and arrogant. And Mickey Loomis is really showing more of his mindset. Like when he criticized the reporters by calling them lazy and unsophisticated, like they're beneath him or something. That's lazy, unsophisticated. Even when you're the one that stinks. I mean, this guy is unbelievable, man. And I'm really starting to not like Mickey Loomis. Like he talks about people not being qualified to know what the coaches. What are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about? They don't have to be qualified to know exactly play by play what the guy is calling, or even when he's doing, but they damn sure qualified to know if it work or not, don't they? They don't have to know exactly what the play is or but they know the end result of the play. And if the end result of the play is dysfunction, funk, garbage, trash, and error prone and error filled, and it's not working, they don't have to be qualified to see that it stinks and that it doesn't work. I mean, the unmitigated gall of this guy. This guy is unbelievable. You're not qualified. You're not qualified. Not qualified. Bro, you heard this dude. Man, let me spin this back. Maybe y'all, because sometimes it gets to the point where people just listen to these guys and they just prattle on and your ears close on them. See, unfortunately, I can't do that all the time. When I'm actually covering this stuff, I hear all this stuff. I hear everything these people say. I really do. This dude is so arrogant, man. To sit up here and said, even out of his own dead ass mouth to tell somebody that they're not qualified to judge a coach or a player. They're not qualified. They don't have to be qualified to look and see whether it's successful or not. I mean, whether or not it works or not. I mean, the gall of this guy, man. Listen again.
A quarterback position or some key positions, which in Tampa's case, they do with Baker Mayfield, who's had a good season for them. But I think too often we put too much stock in. Well, I don't know that we put too much stock in it, but I think that most of the people that I hear in the media that are evaluating coaches aren't really qualified to do that. Because they don't know what's being coached. They don't know what's being told during the week. And there's a difference between what they're being told and what's being executed sometimes. So
hold on. Stop the presses. A lot of the media people, and he talking about the guys and that he doesn't talk to anybody. He sits there and has these phone conversations on the phone to certain people. He don't talk to everybody. He don't talk to you or me or even the regular press guys. It's only two or three people that he'll talk from WWL. He don't make himself available to anybody. He's not trying to have a discussion or a conversation so people to find out what's really going on with the team. He don't do that. He wouldn't dare sit before me and allow me to ask him questions. Could you imagine that? Use your imagination on my line of questioning. I'll be respectful, but I'm gonna get the answer. You know? This guy here is unbelievable. They're not qualified. You're not qualified. The reporters are not, even though we know all about the shit. For 30 years. What is your definition of qualified, Loomis? Huh? A diehard person that supported the team for well over 30 years, that knows football and football principles, that understands and scout players to understand where they're coming from and whether or not they'll fit in your system or not. How about the fact that we know the entire history of the organization, and even to the point where we know the idiosyncrasies of the general manager, to the point where you imitate him? Nobody cares enough to imitate no goddamn Mickey Loomis before I did it. I made it fun and a joke to people that don't even know who he is across in the football supporters across the NFL. That we do these NFC South streams, they laugh because he doesn't mean anything to them, but he's a source of laughter to everybody. And that's due in part because I know this man so much that when I pick this dude mind apart so much that I'm imitating him. I know all of his little weird movements and how he pauses, all this kind of this oohing and eyeing type of stuff. I got all that downplayed. You don't think I know how you think? You've been here for 20 plus years, dude. But to sit up here and tell people, the media in their face, that they're not qualified to judge their coaches. And the coach stinks. He's losing control of his team. They know more about the team. We know more about the team than he do because he sits somewhere where he can't be approached. This guy is unbelievable, man. Listen to the last few things he said. Watch this.
In the media that are evaluating coaches aren't really qualified to do that. Because they don't know what's being coached. They don't know what's being told.
Okay, they don't know what's being coached. They don't know what's being told. Then what happens?
During the week. And there's a difference between what they're being told and what's being executed sometimes.
Okay, so you're lying to them. Did you catch that? You see what I'm saying? The gift of listening to what people say because they talk themselves into a hole because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. One more time for the people.
Do with Baker Mayfield, who's had a good season for them. But I think too often we put too much stock in. Well, I don't know that we put too much stock in it, but I think that most of the people that I hear in the media that are evaluating coaches aren't really qualified to do that. Because they don't know what's being coached. They don't know what's being told during the week. And
all right, they don't know what's being coached. They don't know what's being told. They don't know what's being coached. So you have absolutely no idea what's being coached, even though that's a freaking lie. The coaches come out and explain to you what's going on. And plus, people have scouting reports. They have tape where they study the game. It's not hard to figure out what they're doing, bro. Y'all all doing the same shit throughout the NFL. You calling it different things. It's crazy. You calling it the same things. You all are doing the same things and calling it different things. It comes down to either running or throwing the football in the verbiage that you use. You're doing the same thing with different names. What qualification do you need to do that? It's a children's game, bro. It's grown ass men playing a children's game, man. What are you talking about here? Yes, people know and they qualify. Whatever you're qualified, nobody cares what you're talking about, where they're not qualified in your little ratchet ass dinosaur ass mind. They're not qualified because people are hammering up Dennis Allen because he's a bum. He's a loser. And they're so much, they're losers too, because you sitting up here 8-8 believing that you got a winning team on your hands and you happy with 8-8 so you can sell that back to the fams so that the fams come back around and say, yeah, we're going to support you again and make more money so he can still sit there and collect a check. The nerve to this guy. They don't know what's being taught. They don't know what's being said, even though there are dozens of press conferences we cover. We cover teleconferences, press conferences every damn day here. How dare you say that? But you don't know what's being taught or what's being told. And
there's a difference between what they're being told and what's being executed sometimes.
So it's a difference between what they're being told and what they're being executed. So you don't know what's going on the field. You don't have, matter of fact, this is the logic of this dinosaur. You are not qualified enough to talk about NFL coaches. You're not qualified. Even though what qualifications does Mickey Loomis have to give you for you to be qualified? Huh? He doesn't know. He's just talking crap. And then the next thing is, you don't know what you're looking at. Can you believe that? So all my ladies out there, all my women out there, all of the ladies out there that never played professional football or played football in high school, they don't know what they're looking at. Oh, hold on, I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth. I didn't say that. You're going to have these people beating the shit out of me. Oh, I didn't say that. Mickey Loomis, listen, bro, let me tell you something, bro. You are going someplace where you about to get your whole issue. You don't know what you're looking at. The ladies, my women out there, the beautiful who that queens out there, they know football. They know the plays. They know what coaches stink or not. They know how to judge winners. That's insulting for you to say they're not qualified. What they need to be to qualify? To talk about how bad Dennis Allen is. What you need? What kind of qualifications you need? You don't need no qualifications. He just don't like you talking about the guy he picked because it makes him look bad. The nerve of this guy. Amazing. This dude here is unbelievable, man.
So, there's some truth to what, to your comment, but I don't think there's as much, I don't put as much stock into it as you might.
You don't put no stock into what the man asking them about. Because anytime you walk up and encroach a point about how terrible Dennis Allen looks as a coach, and if it ain't nothing that he likes to hear, this was the type of pompous, arrogant ass attitude that Mickey Loomis has in your direction. Not to mention the fact, see, this is what I don't like. This is the type of stuff that make me ride harder and go and drop a piano on their damn heads, literally. Because this type of stuff is really, this is insulting for them to say that about family members. You don't need no degree to talk about football or even talk about football coaches. You know more than enough about football where you can tell whether or not which coaches suck and stink and are garbage and which ones are not. You watch enough football to know what's good football and what's bad football. You're not an idiot. The Great Saint Think Tank is the most intelligent group of New Orleans Saints family members in the entire flipping world. They take offense to a dead-ass, half-dead dinosaur telling them that they're not qualified to judge or talk about the people. And he talking about media, he talking about everybody that's not agreeing with him. He told the media people that in their face, and they didn't say a damn thing about it. Well, hold on, Mickey. I've been covering the game for a long time, man. I can't let you say that because you about to piss off a lot of our female people out there. A lot of our female people never put on no damn uniforms and went out there and put helmets on and went and started tackling people, but they know the game better than some guys do. They do. Well, I didn't say that. He backpedal like a dog, boy. I tell you, you get him there.
Mickey, another thing like that fans and media, we really don't know what sometimes players are dealing with. And to see Derek Carr go out there, the performance he had, really had some nice throws, accurate, efficient, and even heard from Dennis Allen after the game talk about how that shoulder injury really was something that might have been something bothering him that he just able to work through, but didn't seem like it was an issue at all last game, obviously.
Yeah, I think overall Derek's done some really good things this season.
Especially the last few games, for sure.
Yeah, and if you
notice how he perks right on up when you talk the shit that he wants to hear. See, that's what I mean. That's these people. Oh my goodness. And then you got these media suck-ups. That's for sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. You don't have to answer the question, Mickey. Oh, my goodness, man. Man. Dude, just ask the question. We don't need all of the soft shoeing. I mean, Mickey Loomis is dancing and the man shining his shoes while he dance. I mean, come on, bro. We don't need all of that. Just ask the question and shut the hell up, man. You know, we don't need you placating to an already arrogant, pompous ass dude who's telling people they're not qualified to judge his coaches. He ain't trying to defend nobody else. He talking about that sorry Dennis Allen. But I'll tell you one thing, bro. I'll tell you one thing. It's one way. You can have these people sit up here and think that they pompous and they got a position that they're safe in. All you think that all you want, you fooling yourself. I'm telling you off the top, off the dump. You are fooling yourself, Mickey Loomis, if you think you got any type of position of security. When we get pissed off as a collective, it's nothing that you can say or do that you are trying to sell us on your BS. It won't work. You don't have enough money to pay for all the seats in that Superdome and all them concessions. You need us to participate with that. And having this arrogant, pompous bullshit mentality is not helping you at all. They don't like Dennis Allen, not because Dennis Allen looks like a weasel or he looks like a possum. That's not it. It's funny, but that's not the reason why they don't like Dennis Allen. They don't like Dennis Allen because he doesn't put a good football product on the field. He's not a good head coach at any measurement. He has a supremely talented team that underperforms week after week. Even in the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when they scored 2 touchdowns in the first half, they died in the second half. I was saying it during the game. This team is I said, fam, we kicking field goals because the offense done died. Whatever magic they had in the first half, they could not continue it into the game. And if Baker Mayfield even had some rhythm of passing with a really good team, would have caught up and beat the Saints, because that wasn't enough of a lead to stay out of the way. Tampa Bay, the defense got after them, but they got back touchdowns on the back end. Imagine if he played better a little early on in the game, it could have been the difference. You're not safe. You got to keep scoring until the game's over with. But even though we win, I don't lose out on what's wrong with the team. You win the game, and not all games are going to be games where you blow the team out. But if you get 4 or 5 turnovers in a game, you're supposed to win more than 7 or 10, whatever the hell it was. Even Bear said that much. He's like, man, we getting all these turnovers. We can't turn these turnovers into touchdowns. That's a problem. But like I said, man, and I'm not mad at the family members that say, Q, we got a dub, because they so starved. They so win deprived, man. People will take any kind of win. We so win deprived here because we losing the teams that we're not supposed to lose to. And it's just really frustrating. So the family members they so win deprived, they'll take a win any way they can get it. And I ain't mad at them, to be honest with you. But I don't like this type of rhetoric, and I don't like this pompous ass attitude that he shows. But it's one way to take pompous jerks like this down, man. And that's by getting on code and standing your ground, man, for real. That's how I really don't like this, man.
You look at some of the areas, his rating, his efficiency. There's a lot of really good things that we've done. There's some things that he hasn't done well. And, how he feels each week. Obviously, he had a shoulder injury, early in the season, and that there's no question that bothered him. We didn't handle pressure very well.
Okay, now you hear this? These interviews happened the same time. This Mickey Loomis interview was today, and the other interview with Derek Carr I just played prior to this one was also today. Do you notice the theme here? They open up the broad. It's so obvious, man. It's so obvious. It's not even hard to even put this stuff together. It used to be a level of difficulty, or perhaps I'm just getting used to how it go. From doing it as long as I've been doing it, listening to them. They do the same thing over and over again every year. It's nothing different. When they get close, it's the last week of this regular season. Whether they win or lose, they're providing a cushion in a narrative to talk about injuries to the quarterback. They denied injuries to the quarterback up until last week or the week before last, when Dennis Allen said that nothing that happened with Derek Carr that happened affected his play. Now you have these people coming out and spinning a narrative in the last week of the season that Derek Carr, how does it feel to be finally healthy? Well, I was banged up since the Green Bay game. Several weeks ago, he just told you he had a rib issue. And he was saying that he was fine during the season. Man, I done played this stuff on. I got this shit on tape. These people act like you don't have no memory. It's insulting, man. And maybe some people don't have a memory. For those who do have a memory that remember all of the bullshit that they say, it's insulting for them to try to talk to you like you don't have no kind of memory. Like, I don't remember Dennis Allen saying several weeks ago that none of the issues that Carr was having as injuries impacted his play. And now you got him and Mickey in the same day talking about injuries to the quarterback, creating a pathway for themselves if they lose this game and not make it through, so they can flip it around and talk about injuries to the quarterback. Well, he was all banged up since Green Bay. And then they'll have certain people that's in the media, not all, but certain ones that will come out and help. And I told you all this. I said, listen, when they get down to the end of the season, you're going to see who's really on their payroll. Put one in the chat if I told y'all that. You're going to start seeing them spin fluff stories to protect the Saints, and the narrative is going to be injuries. They do the same stuff every damn year. Every year they do the same stuff like clockwork. These people so predictable. We just got to have a memory, man, and on-court behaviors to stop this from going. We can break this up, man. We really can. They say the same stuff over and over again, man. And this whole phenomenon now about Derek Carr's injuries. Why is this coming now in week 18 before the Falcons game? That all of a sudden everybody wants to know that Carr was injured, even though 2 weeks ago they were denying it. It's amazing, man.
The good things that we've done. There's some things that he hasn't done well. And, how he feels each week. Obviously, he had a shoulder injury, early in the season, and that there's no question that bothered him. We didn't handle pressure very well earlier in the season. And I think, in the last 4 or 5 games in particular, our offensive line and our protection has been better. So there's all these.
Injury had nothing to do with how he handled pressure. See how he meshing up? He's just clumsily cobbling all of these talking points together. They don't even sync together. You see what I'm saying? See, I hear everything they say, man. I really do. And it's like this is a clumsy cobbling effort to pin together topics that don't even have anything to do with each other. Him having those injuries didn't have nothing to do with him. It's just ridiculous, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. This dude just prattles on, man.
Variables, all these elements that contribute to, the quarterback play. And look, we all look at the quarterback and we look at the head coach, and that's where we want to point blame and oftentimes give credit. And yet there's just so much more to it than that. But, what you said is correct. Derek has had a great game against Tampa. It was really efficient. There still was some meat left on the bone. There's still opportunities that were to be had that maybe would have put that game even further out of reach. And we've had a few things like that. I think this season has been a tale of we've had quarters and halves and parts of games where you can see what we can be, but it's hard to point to a lot of games and say from beginning to end, this is what we are. And that's not unusual. I mean, this is Derek's first year with us. And if we went back to 2006 and looked at Breeze's first season or two with us, you wouldn't say, wow, that guy's going to the Hall of Fame.
So are you really going to do this, dude? You going to really compare Derek Carr to Drew Brees? Are you serious? This dude is literally going to compare Derek Carr and Drew Brees together in an attempt to sell him on you into the future? For real, bro? Unbelievable, man.
After season 1 or season 2. So, sometimes it takes a while for us to be familiar with him, for
it to take a while, for us to be familiar with him. This is he go to sell job into the offseason to sell you with Dennis Allen and Carr together. Well, it was only the first year. Let's see what they look like in year 2. And we talked about this when this happened, when they signed Carr. It basically, and that's what Dennis Allen knows. That's why he never was stressing out about his position or job or being on the hot seat. This is the sell job that Mickey Loomis. He was going to take the arrows and then fire back at you to keep that quarterback and Dennis Allen together. That's always been the plan, and we talked about it here. But he was hoping that the man win enough games to keep people from getting them, so he can at least spin to you the fact that they're not going to finish 7-10, which is better than what they did last year, even though they went backwards last year. See, that's the smoke and mirrors. You were 9-7 under Peyton. His last year, he leaves, goes to the booth. Dennis Allen takes over the team, and they go from 9-7 to 7-10. Now they back up to 9-8. That's progress in their eyes to you. It really isn't progress. It really isn't. Progress is if they actually get to the playoffs, which is do something that Dennis Allen never done. But still in all, I would refrain from using any descriptions or comparisons between Derek Carr and Drew Brees. That's simply not fair for Carr. He's no Drew Brees, not even close.
Him to have a real grasp of the offense in terms of being reactive instead of thinking and then making a play and getting on the same page with our staff, our coaches, as well as our players.
Yeah, and I think that
there you go. Your multiple year option. He's kind of prattled it on and finally got it out. But that's basically showing you that Derek Carr, like in his first year, which is buying you, letting you know that, you got to give him time in the second year. And then, of course, his coach as well in the second year. And the coaches, he said Carr, and he didn't say Allen, but he said the coaches. Who you think he referencing? So it's a pitiful sell job, but it's what it is.
That point is interesting, and I did want to ask you about that because you're looking at year 1 of DA and Derek Carr together, and as you're evaluating it, how important is it to kind of take a step back and avoid just trying to say, well, this is what it was in 2020 with year 15 of Sean or whatever it was with Drew and Sean versus this is a new regime, and you have to kind of look at them independently of like, okay, where are we really? How have we improved? What needs to be fixed versus getting into that game of, oh, well, this is what Drew and Sean did.
These guys gonna really sit on their ass and try to compare Sean Payton and Drew Brees with Dennis Allen and Derek Carr. Is this how pitiful this is, man? For real? Is they gonna try to do this for real?
Yeah. I would say that most of that process comes after the season. I don't like to make evaluations in season because you're dealing with the emotion of winning and losing each week, and you're dealing with the issues that come up on a daily basis to prepare for the next game. But that
hold on, what? He doesn't like to evaluate. What the hell is this dude talking about? Bro, what are you talking about? You got to go, bro. Emotions don't have nothing to do with this. This is business, bro. This is business. What are you talking about, emotions? You are not supposed to focus on your emotions to the point where it stops you from evaluating talent from a week-to-week basis. A general manager is supposed to be in a constant state of evaluations. He's not supposed to let his emotions get in the way of doing his damn job, which is evaluating his coach on a weekly basis, especially if the guy has never won games or had a winning record in the NFL before. You're supposed to be in a constant state of evaluating the offense, evaluating the defense, evaluating the special teams, evaluating coaches, evaluating players, in a constant state of evaluation because you are the general manager. Your job is to provide constant evaluations from a week to week basis. That's how you know the heartbeat of your team. That's how you know who's frustrated and who's not. Michael Thomas, Chris Olave. That's how you know if there's problems. Jameis Winston with the quarterback. This dude is out of his mind. This asshole literally sat up here and said that he don't like to do evaluations because he takes the emotions out of it. I can't be emotionally tired. Emotions don't have nothing to do with this, bro. This is business, man. It's business. And that's not supposed to stop you from evaluating players and coaches because your emotions are in it. What is going on here? What is this dude talking about? Can somebody help me understand what the hell this dude talking about, man?
I don't like to make evaluations in season because, you know, you're dealing with the emotion of winning and losing each week, and you're dealing with, you know, the issues that come up on a daily basis to prepare for the next game. But that
what are you talking about? The emotions of winning and losing? You can't control yourself enough to do your job. Evaluations is a part of the job. So it's not whether you lose your emotion. I can understand you if you're losing, you get upset and be like, I'm gonna chill on that this week. But if I win, I'm still riled up emotionally. Well, I can't I can't evaluate whether I'm winning or losing, whether I'm happy or sad. That sounds like a cop-out, bro. The dude don't want, and that explains to you why. And I was telling you guys this guy is not even looking at the team. He's not doing any evaluations. He just told you. And remember this, he's not doing any at all evaluations on this coach, on this team. That's why these players are upset. That's why guys are on social media frustrated, because this asshole takes himself out of the thing. I'm not going to deal with that. I'm not evaluating anything. What are you doing during the season if you're not evaluating? What are you doing? What are you doing as the general manager then? Man, that dude, could you imagine going to work and they got a guy there? If you work at a restaurant or you drive trucks or whatever, and they got a worker there that's telling you that he can't drive the trucks today because he is too happy about something that happened at his house. And then the next day he comes, he can't drive the truck because he too upset about something that happened at the, who is allotted to use emotions as a excuse for not doing their job? Evaluations is what you're supposed to do on a weekly, if not daily basis. You're supposed to always be doing evaluations. Evaluations is like doing a monthly budget on how much money is coming into your house. Some people do it on a weekly basis. Some people want to know to stay on top of it. It's like doing a budget to find out how much money is coming in and how much money is going out. And you're not doing your job. That's your job to evolve. That's keeping the tempo of the team, checking the thermostat of the team, talking to people, evaluating and seeing whether or not we could use some help in the defense. If we need some more personnel on the defensive line, if we need another wide receiver that we need to go and get. Hey, how about let's evaluate, see if we can kind of demote this guy in the season and promote this guy in the season. This is ridiculous, man.
That'll be a process we go through, and I go through when the season's over. I certainly have a few thoughts and a few things that I think we need to have a discussion about. But that'll all come after the season's over, and hopefully the season won't be over after Sunday.
Hopefully. See, real winning general managers don't talk with hope. They don't use hopium like this dude. He hopes. Why is he hoping when he's the general manager? Go in there and tell Dennis Allen to issue an ultimatum on this team. Talk with some decisiveness. See the weakness, the limp wristness, all this bullshit that they doing, all this weak ass talk. This is garbage, man. And he doesn't do any evaluations to the end of the season. And then when he finally does them, he's going to do them late because of the emotions. Bro, this dude is not a professional. I told y'all, man, this dude is not a real general manager. What general manager you know? You think let me ask you this. Does Roseman of Philadelphia operate with emotions that makes him stop doing his job, evaluating and seeing where his team could be better at? How about Snead, the guy from the Rams? How about the guy from the 49ers, Lynch? You think emotions get in the way of them doing their job and keeping a thumb on what's going on with their team? You know, to make sure you check the thermostat and make sure the team is doing good. This dude has been doing this too much and he needs to go, man. This might work under Sean Payton, but you can't have this same stupid approach when you got a coach that hadn't won anything before. You can't sit on your ass and let him drive the team. And I told y'all that's what he does. He just told you what I've been telling y'all for some time now is that Mickey Loomis is not going to do nothing. He's not going to go and have a discussion with Dennis Allen and tell him to change his offensive coordinators. He's not going to go and put pressure on Dennis Allen and issue him an ultimatum. He's not going to do none of that. He's going to sit on his ass and collect a check while the team goes into the ground. And then at the end of the year, he's going to cook up excuses like injuries and all this other kind of madness to sell you another year on Dennis Allen. I told y'all this guy ain't no real general manager. I told y'all that. He hanging himself with his own words right now. He don't do evaluations because his feelings, he gets upset. In my feelings, I might be upset and I don't want to make a bad decision because I'm upset. I just don't do it until after the year, and then all of the feelings subside. Then I feel right about making the decision. Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty stupid and lazy and trifling and unsophisticated. But this is the guy. That's why he needs to be replaced. Unbelievable.
Time to step away and take a break. We'll be back with more of the Wins Below
Cups. This value just
struggles in getting those fumbles and interceptions, but just the floodgates seem to have been open this year, and the guys capitalizing on those opportunities.
Yeah, look, we've done a great job, particularly with the interceptions, both taking away the ball through an interception and not giving up interceptions. So, yeah, being +8 is that's really good. It's been an emphasis. It was an emphasis during training camp. It was an emphasis after last season. And it's good to see that come to fruition. I think our guys are really ball conscious, defensively when we're playing the game. And I know that our offensive players are really conscious about protecting the football. So we've done a good job on both sides. And that's good to see.
One of the things after the game that I thought was interesting, Tyron said that he was asked to kind of stand up on Saturday and kind of rally the troops, if you will. The DBs really responded, he said, and in the game, I think you saw that play out. And so my question is, as you're building a roster, right? Yeah. How important is it to you not only have youth, you want to have young guys, you want to have guys that are developing, but you also need the Tyrann Mathieu of the world, the Demario Davises, guys that have been there, because I think at the end of a season, it's almost always the teams that have those kind of core leaders that seem to be playing their best football at the end of the year. So, I mean, how important do you kind of view that veteran leadership as you're building these rosters every year?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I do. I think that each year, we end up with a Super Bowl winner, right? And I would say in the last, 40 years that very seldom is the Super Bowl winner the team that has the best roster. It's the best team. And you have the best team when you have great player leadership. And when you have guys that recognize, veteran players that recognize what's important and can keep their team on that path, keep them focused and on that path, doing the right things when no one's looking, preparing the right way each week. And it's just critical. I know that in the best teams that we've had over the years, we had great veteran leadership. In that 06 to 2012 run, it was Breeze and it was Vilma and Will Smith and Malcolm Jenkins and a number of guys that I'm not even naming. Jabari Greer comes to mind. So we just had guys that understood what the goal was, what the focus is, and how to keep our team and their position group in line and focused to that goal.
I ask you, do that sound like the New Orleans Saints, Dennis Allen? All the stuff that he mentioned sounds like a foreign team. Like the Saints are littered and loaded with talent. They really are. But it's a different world if you can't get the talent on the same page. Like it's like what we've seen from most of the season when the Saints were up and down. They were up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Win 2, lose 2, win 2, lose 3, win 2, lose 1. They were up and down the entire year, up and down all year. Now they're 8-8 with 1 game left, and then talking about playoffs. I mean, to me, it's the consistency angle is like it's just not there. The team has talent, but the reality is it's an old team. It's an experienced team. You got DeMario, you got Cam, you got Tyrann Mathieu. Eventually, these guys are going to hit a wall, and then they play is going to decrease. Fortunately, some of these guys are very productive as they get older. We're fortunate to have that. But that's the window. The window is a 2 to 3 year window before that starts falling out. And then you have adversaries that you're playing that are getting better. They're going to be getting better. And it's a different world, man. That's why I've been saying for a while, it's like, this is not success football. Like, we had to have sustained success. You got to have something fundamental to stand on. You got to have a ground to stand on with something that's fundamental, that builds consistency and trust in the system. And we've seen a lot of players that play for the Saints that's upset and frustrated. You don't see the team like really galvanized and just push through. Like, the only game I can really call on this year where the Saints just mashed on the pedal and really took a team apart was the New England Patriots game. And they kind of helped in that matchup. But teams that are fighting, that's really fighting with them, they don't win that. And even the record stipulates that. Like, when you play up against teams and the teams are teams that have winning records, they don't beat those teams, which speak to I said this at the time, it speaks to the mental psyche of the team. Like, it doesn't see itself. And I'm not putting them down, but I'm just saying what I see versus them going against other teams that are winning teams, how they respond to playing a winning team. They don't match the team. Like, they won't go up against the team. Like, they had an opportunity to show what they were made of against the Rams. And what did they do? They didn't. They got mashed out, and they came back later in the game when the pressure was off. But see, why did it take that to happen? If you had it in you the whole time, why didn't you turn it on when you needed it? That's what I'm saying. Good teams, they get up for the challenge. If I say the Saints, if their minds are right, they can compete with a Ram team. They can compete with that team. They really could. They have the talent to compete with that team. They had Elvin Kamara. They have all these receivers. They have the tight ends, Taysom Hill, Jamal Williams. They have all of the talent. They could compete with a Rams team very easily if their mind's right, if they know what they're doing. But to me, the team is up and down because it's lacking things to get it to the next level, like discipline and consistency, which is something that'll be called from the head coach to do. He has to instill the discipline. He has to instill the accountability. He has to instill all of that in the team. And if they don't play like that, they're not going to consistently build anything. They're not going to win, because winning gets guys to buy in. But he can't sustain the winning for whatever reason. It's like it's a law in concentration on what needs to happen. And then the team will lose the teams it's not supposed to lose to. And not at the level they're losing to. Like, you're not supposed to lose to Houston. Houston Texans was a good team, but you're not supposed to lose to them at that point of the season. Come on. The Green Bay Packers was the worst loss of the year. I hold up to that. The Minnesota game, the people didn't even have a starting quarterback. They just traded for that freaking guy. The other guy, Dobbs, comes in and he might as well been Kirk Cousins. They didn't even have Jefferson in that game, and they still beat that. See what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I question the psyche of this team. Like, what do you see yourselves as? Are you guys really, do you see yourselves as contenders? Do you see yourself as contenders? They most certainly don't play like it. Not for full times. That would explain the 8-8 record. And he had a pretty soft-ass schedule for most of the year. And a soft division, and it comes down to week 18. So like I said, man, it's just a lot of stuff going on with this team, man. And they're not out of the woods, not by a long shot, man.
Looking at the safety position in that game, obviously Jordan Howden was dealing with a sickness, had to call up Jonathan Abram, rely on him to fill that role. And man, oh man, when you see a guy respond like that, what a day for him, really helping this team get over the hump in Tampa Bay?
Yeah, look, John Abram was big, stepping in there, and look, he's a talented player. Had a great rookie, beginning with the Raiders, and then was injured and has had to kind of reset his career. But man, he came to play, made a number of really big plays in the game for us, and that was good to see. He's a guy that's come in here humble, done everything that he's asked. He's been a great teammate. Works his butt off on special teams, practices, on scout team, everything that he's been asked to do, he's been great at. And I appreciate that. We've had a number of guys that have come on our roster oftentimes through the practice squad and end up making contributions during the season. That's just the nature of the NFL right now. We have these practice squad spots, and we're allowed to put veterans on there, and that's just been invaluable in terms of the product.
In a similar vein, I think DA has talked a couple of times about, challenging some players. I know Jawan Johnson was one of those players. Alontae Taylor obviously he got benched against the Rams, came back, got his first career interception, had a really nice game. And, so I'm curious, when you see players not only have big games, but respond to adversity in that way, what is kind of, how do you see that? Because it feels like a guy like Jawan, I think he came in with really high expectations, and I think a lot of people had really high expectations, and to see him kind of come in and win a big game and play the way he did, how does that look?
Yeah, I think, two different circumstances. Look, we have high expectations for Jawan. He had a really good game, and look, I said to him afterwards, that's what we expect from you. Let's not get overly excited about having one good game. We expect that from him each and every week. And I think the good news is he expects that of himself. But, at some point you have to produce it, and he produced it in this game. And so hopefully he'll follow that up with another one and another one. Alontae, look, he got benched last week, but he got pulled out of the game for his play. Let's just be frank about it. And I was really proud of him and really excited to see him respond, take it the right way, and come back with a really good performance. And that he's a good player, and he's got a great future. And that was really good to see.
Another guy I'm curious about, Mickey, your thoughts on Zach Baun, a guy that, was a third-round pick and just has been fighting for that playing time and a spot on this roster, and seems to really be coming into his own this season.
Yeah, I think this. First of all, his spot on the roster has been solidified because he's been a really good special teams player for us, really since he walked into the building. So, but defensively, I think it's been a little more difficult for us to have a vision for him defensively. And so I think this year, we've kind of settled into obviously he's a Sam linebacker. And, in today's football, the Sam linebacker doesn't play as much as they used to. So they're getting, 10 to 15 snaps a game at Sam linebacker, sometimes less than that. But we found a role for him as a pass rusher on third down, a sub rusher, and he's excelled at that. And so that's been good to see, and it's impacted our defense, and I'm excited for him.
Yeah, I am curious. I know in the preseason and the offseason, we talked prior to the draft or after the draft, I can't recall, but you kind of talked about some of the process of scouting, and I think it was maybe 0.9 or something like that, with players that have a ton of talent, might not be a scheme fit, but if the value makes sense, you could take a shot at him. Would you say that he was one of those guys that he did a lot of the pass rushing stuff in college, has tried to convert to an off-ball linebacker a bit, but now you're kind of seeing him in a different role, and I am just curious if he'd be one of those guys.
Yeah, he could have been. I think for us, we kind of felt like he could make the transition to an off-the-ball linebacker. And look, we've had other guys, do that, and so that hasn't really worked out like we originally thought it would, and it's taken a little more time for us to create the vision for how to use Zach on defense, and I'm glad to see that happening.
Oh, you ain't kidding. I remember when they drafted Zach Baun, it was the Saints moved up to go and get Zach Baun. And the idea was to play him like what he's doing right now. And then they went away from it. And he always had the athletic ability, but he wasn't a stand-up linebacker. But the development was to take him and turn him into that, and it didn't work. And that was one of the things that Sean Payton would do a lot of. He wanted the linebackers to do different things. He wanted them to do this and that, the third. And some people you could do that with, some people you can't. Like I remember a year when he drafted 2 safeties. He drafted a cornerback and a safety. I forgot the guy's name, but they were here. One of them was Barkley. It was no, it wasn't Barkley. It was Saquon Hampton. That's his name. One of them was a safety named Saquon Hampton, and the other guy was a cornerback that ultimately ended up going to the Giants. He got into some type of domestic issue. If y'all remember their names, put them in the chat. But the other guy's name, but the other one was Saquon Hampton. He was a safety. And I remember Sean Payton doing that with Natrell Jamerson. That's the guy's name. He was a return man. They tried to turn him into something else, and it just didn't work. That don't work with everybody. But then again, the Saints really stuck with Zach Bowen, even when they had better linebackers that were here. Like 2 years ago, you had Eric Wilson, who they refused to play Eric Wilson, but they kept Zach Bowen on the active roster, and he was whatever. But Eric Wilson tearing it up. They put him on the practice squad. Whatchamacallit, Green Bay pulls him off of there. The following year, Jalen Smith is brung here. He's tearing it up in practice. Next thing you know, he's practice squad. And then he gets pilfered by somebody. I think he's a free agent again. But the reality is they picked those guys. They let those guys go over Zach Bowen. And finally, it happened this year when Nephi Sewell actually pushed Zach Bowen into a position where he was a special teams guy. And to be truthful, Zach Bowen wasn't a super duper special teams guy like that. This year, yeah, and he flashed last year and the year before, but he wasn't a super duper special teamer like that. This year, yes, because other guys were tearing it up on special teams, like JT Gray, to the point where JT Gray got a Pro Bowl bid for the special teams. They had other guys really tearing it up on special teams. And prior to that, it was what's his name that plays for the Giants that couldn't play the cornerback position. Y'all remember the cat name? I forgot his name. He with the Jets now. So I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it's the Zach Bowen thing is interesting, and we'll see how they handle it, man. Let's
closing out some thoughts on some players. I'm looking at the undrafted rookies at special teams, and I'm sure you guys hear just as much as we do with the struggles that Blake Grupe had and Lou Hedley. Maybe fans were ready to move on very quickly from these young guys, but man, oh man, just the fight in them, and you've seen the growth over the past couple of games. I'm sure you guys hear just as much as we do with the struggles that Blake Grupe had and Lou Hedley. Maybe fans were ready to move on very quickly from these young guys, but man, oh man, just the fight in them, and you've seen the growth over the past couple of games. And now heading into the end of this year, definitely, especially with Lou Hedley, a strength.
You got to have patience with kickers. And this was the approach I told a lot of the family members before the season started, when they decided to unceremoniously march Will Lutz out of here, like Will Lutz was finished and done. And I was telling people, you got to be patient. Will Lutz is a all-pro kicker. He's a top 10 kicker in the NFL. He's a proven winner. He had a tough season because he was coming off a season in which he had core surgery. He had surgery to his core. He was supposed to come back the same year the surgery happened to his core, but they shut him down for the rest of the year. Him and Michael Thomas, they were supposed to come back at the same time, and they shut them both down for that year. So he came into the next year, and he was kicking. His kicking went down. It was his worst kicking year after rehabbing off the core surgery. He had to know how to learn to kick again. And people were saying Will Lutz was done. And I was telling them, no, he's not done. He's coming off of core surgery. Look it up. And then look up what core surgery entails. And he had to basically, sink his kicking again. So the Saints made it look like Will Lutz was he was just kicking this magnificent and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, no. Will Lutz's contract had him here for one more year. And if you're a team that's serious about the playoffs, you would want a veteran kicker to keep it here. So they just traded, because Peyton Manning wanted Will Lutz in Denver. They cooked this up and they sent him to Denver for a 7th round draft pick. That's not even a fair exchange for a top 10 kicker. You could have got at least a 5th round pick or something. The man wanted him. He wanted him, so it was a demand for him. But they don't hold Sean Payton. They give Sean Payton whatever he wants, even though he's not even here no more. That's how he got the 3rd round pick that went along with Peyton out of here, and the Saints get a late 1 back. They didn't even ask for that 3. Mickey sent that pick out there so Sean Payton can use that pick to build that team. Then they give him a top 10 kicker, and the only thing you get back is a 7th-round pick for it. It's just they run this team like it's, I don't know what to say about that. That was a question I would have asked them about, that none of them wanted even, they scared to ask some questions about that. They don't want to ask them. They don't want to do this softball thing and tap and soft shoe around Mickey Loomis all day. I mean, it's just, it's really ballless how this stuff goes, man. But in the end, I'm not, when they got the young kicker, Group A, I knew off the bat that I thought that Group A was a young kicker that was good, but with a young kicker, you're going to need time. They never been here before. They're going to take their lumps and bruises, just like any player that first step in the door. So, you know, I advocate, like, man, just have patience with the kid. It's going to be tough, but this is what they decided to do. They decided to go with a rookie with an old team, a rookie kicker with one of the oldest teams in the NFL. Didn't make sense to me, and I was against it, but they did it anyway. And then you look at the punter. So he just decided to just clean house with all, because the Australian punter was an interesting story, but he wasn't better than Blake Gillikin, in my opinion. He wasn't better than Gillikin. You know, he does an all right job. Don't get me wrong, but Blake Gillikin, to me, is better than Headley. But that's what it is, man.
Strength in the punt game for you guys.
Yeah, I think, look, I think sometimes numbers tell a story and sometimes they don't, right? And so, look, you know, the gross average and the net average are probably a little lower than what you might want. And yet, man, you know, Lou has got the lowest amount. I think he's got the lowest amount of punts returned in the NFL. And he's got one of the highest amounts of percentage of punts inside the 20. So he's been really effective. And that's what I would call stress-free punt game, right? When you're pinning the opponent deep in their own territory, and when you're not getting a lot of returns. I think Blake, you know, he had a rough start at the beginning, but he's back to 80%.
Right.
And look, I've had experience with young kickers in the past. John Casey was a guy we had in Seattle. We drafted, and we kind of gave up on after 3 or 4 years, and he had a couple rough goes, and then he ends up kicking for like 25 years, whatever the heck it was, forever. It seemed like one of the best kickers in NFL history. And so I think sometimes you have to be patient with some of the struggles when you know that the guy has the talent, the leg talent to be special. And Blake's another guy that can create a stress-free kickoff coverage team by banging the ball to the back of the end zone. He's got a number of type of kicks that he's good at. And so he has some talents that maybe don't show up on the stat sheet as well.
Time for another break here on the Saints Hour. We'll be right back with even temperatures.
Here, soil that's zero.
Week 8, those games are going to go off simultaneously. There's been a lot of talk about the atmosphere in the dome. You know, maybe not some of the best results throughout this season, last season, but you know, how exciting is it to be able to walk into that building knowing that this is a Week 18 game against the Falcons. You can go out there and win. And, what kind of atmosphere are you, expecting or hoping for this Sunday?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think the atmosphere in the dome has been as good as it's been for a long time. It's been really good this year. When it's not good, it's really our fault because we're not playing well enough to give the fans something to get excited about. And
okay, which is it? It hasn't been as good as it's been, Mickey Loomis. I mean, in prior years, the Saints family members was packing the dome. I mean, in the Detroit game, a lot of the lower bowl seats were sold. There's Saints tickets online for $7 and $8. People are not going to the game. So either you're lying or I don't know what how does he not? It's just amazing to me, man. It's really amazing that they would spend it. People are not satisfied with this. And it's been as good as it's been wow. Just gonna lie and then tell the truth at the same time. I'm a lie to tell the truth right behind it to clean it up.
Well, first of all, I think the atmosphere in the dome has been as good as it's been for a long time.
What? No, it hasn't. The people selling it, and then it's crazy, man. And then he says this.
It's been really good this year. When it's not good, it's really our fault because we're not playing well enough to give the fans about.
First realest thing he said this entire conversation.
And so that's on us. Like I said, I think I said this earlier. The only disappointing thing that happened this year was when we had so many Detroit fans, for that game against Detroit. And I get it though. People have an opportunity to cash their tickets in and get some money at a time when they need it.
Bro, and then lie again. The people ain't trade. See, this dude a liar, man. And he crazy. How would you know that they trading their money in to go and buy something with it? How would you know that? What are you talking about? Well, they took their money and sold a ticket, so they went and bought something. No, that's not what happened. They sold the tickets because they're disgusted with the team and how they've been playing. Did you hear this dude? How the hell would he know that they took the money and bought something with it? How the hell would he even know that?
Pointing thing that happened when it's not good, it's really our fault because we're not playing well enough to give the fans something to get excited about. And so that's on us. Like I said, I think I said this earlier. The only disappointing thing that happened this year was when we had so many Detroit fans, for
the only disappointing thing. This dude is crazy. The Detroit game wasn't the only disappointing thing in terms of the Who Dat Nation. Dude, you really don't have your thumb on the pulse of nothing. Not on the team, on the supporters, nothing. That wasn't the only thing that was disappointing. You finally realized it culminated and got to an apex when people start trading and getting rid of their stuff. For you not to understand that and didn't see that, then you really are out of it, man. Really are.
That game against Detroit. And I get it though. People have an opportunity to cash their tickets in and get some money at a time when they need it.
That ain't got nothing to do with, bro. People, they sending their texts, they're sending their tickets in. Obviously, what's going on, they need the money to buy Christmas gifts. No, that's not what's going on, Loomis. A lot of times, the Who Dat Nation, they're an economic savvy bunch. They know how to have an emergency fund with 3 or more months worth of money in it. Hopefully, have it somewhere where they can get to it, and maybe it's earning some interest more than a regular savings account or a regular, hopefully somewhere in a high yield situation, but they're a savvy lot economically. They're not going to just take they bill money and go and buy Saints tickets. That's not what's going on here. Their bills are paid. They've already got gas and clothes and Christmas money and all this kind of stuff. They're not taking their bill money to go and see the Saints stink. They're not doing that. That's their discretionary money, their entertainment budget that they're pulling back from you. And they're putting it in their pockets. It's not the fact that they need it and they cashing their tickets in. Who talks? Why would this is a pompous dude? It really is. This dude really showing you his colors. He's really an arrogant, pompous dude to even think like that. What he said about you not being qualified to tell about, you're not qualified to judge coaches. You're not qualified. And then, they obviously are selling their tickets because, they need money to go pay their bills. Well, that's what they're doing. No, dude, we're not doing that, dude. This dude is crazy, man.
Thing that happened this year was when we had so many Detroit fans, for that game against Detroit. And I get it though. People have an opportunity to cash their tickets in and get some money at a time when they need it. I understand that completely. But
you don't understand shit, bro. That's not what's going on. The people cashed in their tickets because they're showing they are already taking a boycott position. They're in a boycott stance right now. This idiot don't even see that, man. These people are so out of touch. It's ridiculous, man.
the fans have been fantastic. They really have. And again,
yes, they have. The family members and supporters have been fantastic. You, sir, and your team have not.
We're going to have a great atmosphere. It's Atlanta. It's always a good atmosphere when we play Atlanta. And we need to give our fans something to cheer about.
Yeah, obviously.
No shit, Sherlock.
I'm curious your thoughts on all the renovations that have happened in the Superdome, and what have fans said to you about them, if anything?
Yeah, well, look,
you hear this, clown? Why would family members and supporters be asking Mickey Loomis about renovations to the dome when the team's stinking? These people, unbelievable. Why would people these cook the book ass questions, boy? What supporter name me one supporter who got two brain cells that rub together to create a thought will be asking Mickey Loomis if they finally were able to catch Mickey Loomis somewhere. The last thing they're gonna ask Mickey Loomis about, hey Mickey, how about those renovations in the Superdome? All these people, unbelievable.
Look, I got one of my firsthand looks last night at the Sugar Bowl. I got to walk around a little bit,
right,
through the concourses and into some areas that I don't normally get to. And look, all the renovations that have been done are fantastic. It's really remarkable that this building was built about the same time as the Kingdome when I was in Seattle, and the Kingdome was a great venue, but it could fit inside the Superdome. And so for this venue to go through, these renovations from time to time and just remain so viable at a really efficient cost is a credit to, the people that built it originally.
At an efficient cost of well over $500 million in Fed and state money pumped in from your pockets into the arena, into the Superdome after Katrina. They gutted the building. They built it the way they want to build it. They reworked the contracts on both the Superdome and the arena. They have naming rights on all of those buildings where they collect 100% of the revenue. They don't pay for no utilities. You do. They don't pay any rent on those buildings. You do. Lights spinning all over the damn place and all this signage. They bank out every way. I often have a running gag on the stream when I talk about the Superdome. I often make mention of the fact that if you have a house and I was to come and put Sports Coma memorabilia and signs up all over your house and charge, and get paid for it, or another company's signs all over your house and you don't get anything for it, you'll find that as pretty crooked. But that's pretty much what it is when you get money off a building you don't own. You contribute very little money to it, but the $300-500 million in the renovations that happen over several phases come from you. But yet, this guy is pompous and got the nerve to hold his nose up in the air. Very ironic.
And then the vision that the state and the city and the Saints have had from time to time to keep this great building. It's had, iconic events in there, and hopefully is going to have a lot more to come. And I think they're fantastic, and they'll finish those up this coming off season. And we'll have one of the best venues in the country.
Just curious, on a game day for you, Mickey, what's it like being, the general manager of the Saints? What is your game day experience entail getting to the dome and, watching the game and, obviously rooting for this team?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's fun. That's not the right word. Look, I get there early. I visit with the head coach. I just, walk around down on the field. I like to make some observations about various things. And then I go up and just watch the game, take a few notes. There's not much I can do, except I don't really, I don't get too nervous anymore. I just, I try to take as much emotion out of it as I can. It's not easy to do, but then, when you get the result, the wins are exciting, fun. It's a feeling like no other, and then the losses are just as bad on the other side. So, and then, you just deal with the coming week. So it's, yeah, it's hard to describe.
All right, enough of this. I am. That's why we've advocating for Mickey Loomis to be replaced as the as general manager of this team. He still is a vice president of football operations or whatever he's doing over there. I don't know what kind of vice president and presidents and he doing over there, but he can't general manage and VP at the same time, obviously, because his emotions prevents him from doing in-season evaluations. He has to wait until after the season to do that. I don't know what notes he's taking. You know, maybe he's taking notes on what he wants to eat when he's sitting down there eating, because he damn sure ain't taking any observations in terms of or any eval work to improve the team. That's why we don't need this anymore. This might have worked. This type of measurement worked when Sean Payton was here. This doesn't work with Dennis Allen. You need a whole nother approach. And me listening to this interview, as we hear more and more from Mickey Loomis, I basically was telling family members, I said, fam, this guy is not going to do anything. You know, he's not going to tell Dennis Allen to change his OC. He's not going to do anything in the season. He will let the team run into the ground and then spin excuses on the back end of the season and protect Dennis Allen and then try to sell you Dennis Allen for a third year. I've been saying that for some time now. That's his coaching style. He doesn't get involved. He's too emotional. So he can't get involved in the day-to-day operation. The emotion doesn't have anything to do with it. Emotion shouldn't stop you from doing your job, bro. It shouldn't. They got people that run nations and companies that get upset, but they still do their damn job. Evaluations is part of the job. That's why he needs to be replaced. We don't need such a numbskull, clumsy approach to being a general manager in the league where Howie Roseman and just about any other competent general manager is fleecing him for picks. He's incompetent. You know, he can't even barter and trade with some of the best when they're fleecing him. His words were, we're talking about Roseman, the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles, that when he comes around, Mickey has to keep his hands in his pocket. You don't have to keep your hands in your pocket, Mickey. You just have to be a dumbass and give up the farm. You have to use your brain when you're making trades and see what kind of assets you need for your team. Because them guys know their team because they study the team. They do evaluations on a weekly, if not daily basis on what the team needs to improve. That's why the Philadelphia Eagles team is a top team right now in the NFL. They're not the best team, but they play. They're in the conversation. They're in a conversation for a championship. The Saints can't even say that. How can they when the general manager and the coach who run the team don't have that same ferocity, that competitive edge? They don't have that same stuff. So at the end of the day, you know, that's enough of Mickey Loomis, man. I told y'all this guy is not going to help do anything, man. This guy is a can kicker. I told you that he's a can kicker, and he's also a book cooker. That's what the dude is. The dude is a can kicker, and he's a book cooker. If you want a player that you can't afford, he'll make it happen. And he'll kick the can down the road and put you into even further in the salary cap hell, even though he lied and said last year that he was going to work and walk it back, the contracts to work it back to the center, which means he's going to stop kicking the can and start working everything back to center and be more cap responsible. He said that, and then continues to kick the can down the road. So in the end of the day, we got a lot of issues, and it's not just Dennis Allen. A lot of people look at the Saints, but if you had a competent general manager, he knows what a real head coach looks like. This guy doesn't. It's not a real general manager. This guy just has the title of a guy. He's an accountant. He's an irresponsible accountant. You don't want Mickey Loomis running your books. He'll put you in the poorhouse. He'll have you on the street, sleeping under the bench. How he handles the money. So that's what he is. That's his gift. And he taught that to Kai Hartley. So we don't really need him to do that anymore. My thing is, I want Mickey Loomis to not be the general manager anymore. We're advocating for Mickey Loomis to just be VP and give the GM job to Kai Hartley. It's time, bro. It's time. You've been involved with the NFL for almost 40 years. You've been sitting on the Saints payroll for 20 plus years. And he really got the VP job. He got the VP job the same year he got the promotion. He didn't earn it. He just gave it to him. And that's the way how the Saints would give you two titles. You're getting paid for one, he give you two. You have 2 titles, even though he can't do either one. I don't know what VP does for him, what he done as a VP, but I know what he not doing as a general manager. No general manager that's worth the salt will sit on his ass and let his team go into the ground and then spend excuses at the end of the year why the team went into the ground, like he wasn't doing anything. A general manager be involved with his players. If they disgruntled, he will do what he can to bridge the gap between the coach and the player. He has the power to be able to do things that he totally advocates and pretends like he has no power. It's crazy. I hope we win against Atlanta. That's what he said. He's sniffing on the hopium. He's saying, I hope. And this is the general manager talking. That's not the type of verbiage you would want your general manager to have, who's the boss of the head coach. Go down there and tell him, listen, man, get this win. Your job is on the line. He won't do that. He's a handoff approach. He's a guy that'll let you destroy the team and run it to the ground, then fuss at the reporters for telling the truth. Then tell the family members and the reporters they're not qualified to talk about his head coach or coaches, period. They're not qualified. You're not qualified. Qualified. Who gives him the right to say who's qualified or not? And that probably would piss off a lot of our ladies out there to hear him talking like that, because he's a dummy. So don't be too mad at him. He's a simpleton. And you heard this interview, you heard it. And the reporters, they placated. No reporter, going to ask a question about fans walking up to him or supporters asking Mickey Loomis, how about those renovations in the Superdome, Mickey? How you think? That's the last thing, literally the last thing in the world that somebody who finally catches Mickey Loomis somewhere going to ask him about renovation to the goddamn Caesar Superdome. These people are amazing, man. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. I'm worn out. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. These people are unbelievable to me, man. They're freaking unbelievable. I heard a mouthful from Mickey Loomis. Every time he does these things, it just literally floors me. How detached from reality Mickey Loomis is. He doesn't do evaluations out of his mouth. Let me just do a brief recap, a synopsis, and I'm getting the hell out of here. Mickey Loomis literally just told us that he doesn't do evaluations, which is a part of the general manager position, is the eval. If not on a daily basis, at least a weekly basis, to see where your team is. An evaluation on your team, a progress evaluation from different areas to make sure your team is strong here. Make sure you stay on top of the coach. Make sure he's doing what he's supposed to do. What an overseer would do, a general manager would do for his head coach to make sure the team is going in the right direction. He doesn't do any evaluation during the season, which means he don't know what's going on with the team. He don't know the strengths of the team. That means we know more about the team that he do, because we do evaluations almost on a daily basis. So we know more about this team than he does, based on what he told us in this interview. And he doesn't do the evaluations not because he don't know how to, because he's emotionally tired. He is too much emotion, or he's it's too much to deal with. My emotions, it's too much emotions. His emotions is the reason why he doesn't do his job, which is utterly ridiculous and totally unprofessional. But the reporters are unsophisticated. For real. This guy is unbelievable. This is not a general manager. I told y'all that. This dude is not a real general manager. Sean Payton had us fooled. Sean Payton was doing all that shit. Sean Payton was directing these people, and they were sidekicks. They were Robins to his Batman, Superboy to his Superman, whatever you want to turn it. Little Flash for the big Flash. I don't know. But at the end of the day, that's who running the team. And these people don't have a clue on what's going on. No real general manager would behave like this and be serious about winning games, and literally sit up here and say the reason why people didn't go to the Detroit game and sold the Lowell Bowls because they needed the money for their house. That's not what happened. They use their discretionary money. They go to the games with discretionary money, the money, the entertainment and budget money that they put on the side. They're not taking their car money or their mortgage money and going down to the Saints and giving it to them. At least I hope they're not. Maybe a small percentage, but most responsible people have a discretionary budget that they have where they go to see these Saints games. So it's not the fact that they needed the money for anything. And how would he even know that to even say that? So that shows a lack, the pure arrogance on that guy to even say some stupid shit like that. So At the end of the day, I'm floored by that, man. This dude is literally, I told y'all this dude ain't gonna do nothing. I told y'all. I said this dude don't know what to do. He just gonna pretend and be upset. I'm upset. But don't do nothing about nothing. He's upset, but acts like you or me. Like if I'm upset and I'm the general manager, shit gonna happen on this team. This coach getting ultimatums. I'm not playing no games. I'm gonna move you up out of here and find somebody that can coach this team. I'm not gonna sit here and play games. And this dude don't understand nothing about the team. He don't even know what kind of team he got. He don't do an evaluation till the season is over with. That's 18 weeks of football before he decides to do an evaluation on his staff and team. And that don't happen right at the end of the year. He usually takes several weeks into the season before he do anything. Totally back ass, lazy, stupid, and trifling. But at the end of the day, you see why you got 8-8 team. You can't all put it on Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen doesn't know what he's doing, and Mickey Loomis hired him. So anyway, that's all I got today. I'm about to go to sleep because this really got on my goddamn nerves. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna give it. I know, and I hear what you're saying. Hemisphere says Q. Loomis got vice president of football when Benson gave it to him before he passed. He wrote it out in his will. Yeah, he got it because he liked Mickey. I know Tom Benson loved he liked Mickey a lot. He really did. But this is not good, man. It's not good. It's not good to hear Mickey Loomis is pompous as like that, talking arrogantly and stupid like that, and the media people not checking them. They can at least respectfully say, sir, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you on that and tell them the truth. The reason why these people are not going to the games because they're upset with the team. Well, I get that. No, you don't. You're not the way you talking. You don't really get it. And they really don't until you don't go. Then we're like, what's really going on? These people are detached from reality like a dog. But that's all right. We'll get them together. We'll bring you back down to earth. Like a crashing meteor, we'll bring you back down. Anyway, that'll be enough for me. I'm about to get on up out of here. It's after 1 o'clock. I appreciate you guys listening to me as late as you're listening to me. Please feel free to hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. And by all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. Man, listen, we got the Atlanta Falcons preview show that will come up probably Thursday or Friday. More than likely, it'll probably be Thursday. We'll do a preview stream on the Falcons matchup. And, of course, Sunday at noon, the Saints meet up with the Falcons in the Week 18 contest. And we'll know by the end of Sunday what is the fate of the New Orleans Saints. A lot of stuff have to happen for them to get into the playoffs. And we'll see if that is indeed a reality or is it a fallacy. We'll know all of it in several days from now. So with that being said, I'm going to get on that. I appreciate you guys. Much love, and I'm going to holler at you on the flip side. Go.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a Falcon. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees are Roger Goodell. Yeah, like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Who that said
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. So check out the Pro Shop. TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com.